Imagine a fighter jet that began as a modest project to fill a nation's urgent need, now standing at the center of NATO briefings as a blueprint for modern air power. A jet once underestimated, now commanding respect in war rooms and defense think tanks. That jet is Pakistan's JF-17 Thunder, and its rise tells a story not just of technology, but of strategy, resilience, and global influence. The export success of the JF-17 Thunder program is one of the most defining aspects of its journey, because it represents much more than the sale of a fighter jet. When Pakistan first unveiled the JF-17 to the world, many observers viewed it with skepticism, dismissing it as a budget fighter intended only to fill gaps in the Pakistan Air Force's own fleet. But over the years, that perception has shifted dramatically, especially as Pakistan has managed to secure international buyers who see the JF-17 as a viable alternative to more expensive Western aircraft. The landmark deal with Azerbaijan, involving the sale of around 40 JF-17 Block 3 aircraft valued at roughly $4.6 billion, has particularly caught the attention of defense watchers worldwide. For a country like Pakistan, traditionally not considered a top-tier arms exporter, this is a significant leap that reflects a new level of credibility in the global defense marketplace. NATO briefings now study this example closely because it demonstrates how a state with limited financial resources and limited access to Western defense markets has still carved out a competitive niche in fighter jet exports. Export success also carries strategic weight because defense deals are never just about hardware. They are about long-term relationships, training programs, maintenance contracts, and shared operational doctrines. When Pakistan exports the JF-17, it is also exporting influence. Nations like Nigeria and Myanmar, who have already inducted the aircraft, rely on Pakistan not only for spare parts and upgrades, but also for training and technical support. This builds dependency and strengthens Pakistan's soft power across different regions. For NATO analysts, this trend raises questions about how middle powers can leverage defense exports to expand their geopolitical influence without necessarily fielding massive militaries of their own. The JF-17's export appeal is rooted in its unique blend of affordability and capability. While Western jets like the F-16 or Eurofighter offer unmatched technology, their price tags often place them out of reach for countries with smaller defense budgets. The JF-17 fills that gap, offering multi-role functionality, air-to-air combat, ground attack, and even limited strike capabilities at a fraction of the cost. Its Block 3 version, with modern features like AESA radar and advanced avionics, further boosts its attractiveness. For NATO strategists, this poses an interesting study. If countries can acquire fourth-generation plus capability at lower costs, the global balance of power could shift subtly as more states gain access to sophisticated aerial platforms. The export story of the JF-17 is therefore not just about sales figures. It is about demonstrating how a nation can transform an indigenous project into a global product, challenge entrenched defense markets, and expand its geopolitical reach in the process. The technological upgrades within the JF-17 Block 3 program are the reason it is now being studied not only as a regional deterrent but as a template of how emerging nations can narrow the gap with advanced air forces without the heavy financial burden that typically comes with such progress. The Block 3 variant is the most advanced model of the Thunder and incorporates features that make it comparable to Western fourth-generation plus fighters. Among the standout improvements is the integration of the KLJ-7A Active Electronically Scanned Array (AESA) radar, a technology that dramatically enhances the aircraft's ability to detect, track, and engage multiple targets in different environments. For years, AESA radar was the defining advantage of Western aircraft like the F-16V or F-35, But the JF-17 now brings that technology into a far more cost-effective package. This is significant because radar is often described as the heart of a fighter jet's combat capability, and with AESA, the Thunder's situational awareness, jamming resistance and operational flexibility have multiplied. Alongside radar advancements, the Block 3 incorporates a modern electronic warfare suite, improved data link systems, and helmet-mounted displays that allow pilots to engage targets with greater efficiency. These additions are vital because modern air combat is not just about speed and maneuverability, but about information dominance and the ability to fuse data from multiple sources into a single, actionable picture. With these upgrades, the JF-17 has become more than a budget fighter. It has turned into a credible multi-role platform that can perform in complex environments, including contested airspaces where electronic jamming and stealth are at play. NATO observers take this very seriously because it suggests that even nations with limited budgets can field aircraft capable of competing in scenarios previously dominated by expensive Western jets. The Block 3 also places emphasis on pilot survivability and mission success through improved cockpit ergonomics, advanced weapon compatibility, and a strengthened airframe designed to support newer munitions and systems. Its ability to integrate beyond visual range missiles, precision-guided bombs, and anti-ship weaponry expands its role far beyond that of a standard light fighter. This adaptability means that the aircraft can serve multiple mission profiles without requiring a nation to purchase separate specialized platforms, a factor that maximizes both cost efficiency and combat readiness. For NATO strategists, the JF-17's technological leap underscores a shift in the global defense landscape. Advanced air combat capabilities are no longer restricted to superpowers or wealthy Western allies, but are spreading into the hands of countries that traditionally relied on outdated equipment. This redistribution of technological capability is precisely why the JF-17 Block 3 has become an object of close study in military briefings. The strategic deterrence role of the JF-17 Thunder has elevated the aircraft from being perceived as simply a cost-effective fighter jet to being recognized as a component of Pakistan's broader defense and nuclear posture. Reports of the aircraft being equipped to carry the RAD air-launched cruise missile, which has nuclear-capable potential, highlight the seriousness with which the JF-17 is being integrated into the country's deterrence framework. This transforms the jet into not just a tactical asset but a strategic one, because the ability to deliver a standoff nuclear or conventional strike fundamentally changes the calculus of any potential adversary. The inclusion of this capability ensures that the aircraft serves as both a shield and a sword, enhancing Pakistan's second strike credibility while complicating the decision-making process of its rivals. NATO strategists and defense analysts take careful note of this because it shows how a relatively low-cost platform can be adapted into a vehicle for high-stakes deterrence, making it a valuable case study in asymmetric balancing. This dual role of the JF-17, operating as a versatile fighter while also holding potential for strategic missions, underscores the philosophy of maximizing utility within limited resources. In South Asia, where the security environment is dominated by the rivalry between Pakistan and India, the ability to field an aircraft that can conduct air-to-air combat, precision strikes, and potentially deliver nuclear-capable cruise missiles gives Pakistan a significant layer of flexibility. The Ra'ad missile itself, with its standoff range, enables strikes against critical infrastructure without the aircraft needing to penetrate heavily defended airspace, thereby reducing risks to pilots and platforms. For adversaries, this means that traditional air defense systems are no longer sufficient to guarantee safety, forcing them to account for a wider range of threats. What makes this development particularly important in NATO briefings is not just the capability itself, but the precedent it sets. It demonstrates how nations that are not part of the traditional great power club can still integrate strategic deterrence into platforms that were originally designed to be light, multi-role fighters. This blurs the line between tactical and strategic aviation and raises questions about how many other nations might pursue similar pathways. Furthermore, it highlights how cost-effective fighters, often dismissed as second-tier, can have an outsized impact on regional security calculations when combined with advanced weapon systems. By turning the JF-17 into a deterrent platform, Pakistan has added depth to its defense posture in a way that forces even global powers to pay attention, and it is this evolution that makes the aircraft's role in deterrence such a critical subject of study. The domestic industry and self-reliance dimension of the JF-17 Thunder program is perhaps one of the most transformative aspects of Pakistan's defense landscape, because it reflects not only an aircraft but the gradual building of a national defense ecosystem. In the past, Pakistan's Air Force was almost entirely reliant on foreign suppliers, primarily the United States and later China, for the acquisition of fighter jets, spare parts and maintenance expertise. This dependency often left the country vulnerable to political conditions, sanctions, and shifting diplomatic priorities. The JF-17 program, co-developed by Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, PAC-E, and China's Aviation Industry Corporation, AVIC, changed that dynamic by establishing Pakistan as an active participant in the design, production, and continuous upgrading of its own combat aircraft. This shift towards co-production and technology sharing not only created skilled jobs, but also fostered the growth of a domestic defense industry capable of sustaining a major air program. The JF-17 is assembled in Pakistan at PAC Camera, which has become the hub of local aeronautical engineering. Over the years, PAC has developed the capacity to produce not just aircraft frames, but also avionics integration, weapon systems compatibility, and maintenance protocols. This ensures that Pakistan is not simply purchasing a finished product, but is nurturing the skills and expertise required to support the aircraft for decades to come. Moreover, every upgrade to the JF-17, from Block 1 to Block 3, has involved increasing levels of Pakistani input, with engineers and technicians gaining experience in areas such as radar integration, cockpit design, and systems testing. This learning curve builds long-term sustainability because the country reduces its vulnerability to foreign suppliers, withholding spare parts or maintenance assistance during times of crisis. For NATO and other observers, the self-reliance aspect of the JF-17 program is crucial because it demonstrates how a state with limited economic and industrial resources can still work its way toward building a credible domestic defense capability. The program also strengthens Pakistan's bargaining power in global